In this day and age, it takes a certain kind of weirdo to build a lab bench power supply from scratch, considering you can buy a decent core or a similar unit for about $90. But it's not for me to judge, I'm literally one of them. There are these DIY kits on AliExpress that can save us the trouble of making a PCB ourselves. These are basically disassembled lab bench power supplies, minus the transformer, heatsink and other essential parts, of course. They're actually pretty decent, especially considering that the board costs less than a cup of coffee. I literally bought mine for just $4. But even though they may seem to work properly sometimes, I have heard about quite a few problems with these boards. The main issue is, of course, the quality of the parts used in the kit. Expect the transistors and op-amps to be guaranteed fake. All in all, the genuine parts would cost about twice as much as the entire kit. And don't expect much quality from the other components either. There are also some design flaws which I intend to fix today. As far as I'm aware, there are two types of these boards. A red one, which is slightly better in my opinion, and a green one, which is the one that ended up on my table today. Despite the minor differences, everything I'm going to talk about today also applies to the red boards. Wow, they even included a schematic. That's nice. We're definitely going to need that later. I've already pre-soldered some of the parts, mostly the ones I don't intend to replace. For your convenience, I redrew the schematic in KiCad, and from this point on, all the explanations will be done using it. The original current shunt is 0.47 ohms, which is ridiculously high. At 3 amps, the voltage drop across it would be about 1.5 volts, which reduces the effective output voltage range of the power supply. And on top of that, it would dissipate almost 5 watts of heat, which can cause current stability issues due to thermal resistance drift. I decided to replace the shunt with two 6-watt 0.3 ohm resistors in parallel, which effectively gives me a 12-watt 0.15 ohm resistor. With this configuration, the power dissipated by the shunt will stay below 1.5 watts, so there shouldn't be any significant resistance drift. As a nice bonus, we also get only 0.45 volts across the shunt at 3 amps of current instead of 1.5 volts, which means a higher maximum output voltage under full load. However, changing the shunt also means changing the current feedback resistor divider values. I replaced the 56 kΩ resistor R18 with a 168 kΩ one, which gave me a maximum current of 3.2 amps. After some brief testing, I found that setting the current to minimum always resulted in negative 0.5 volts at the output, so I replaced R17 with a 100 ohm resistor. That fixed the problem completely. These DIY kits are marketed as 30 volt 3 amp power supplies with a 24 volts AC input. However, if we actually feed them 24 volts AC, we most likely won't be able to get a full 30 volts at 3 amps on the output. But the worst part is that we are definitely going to exceed the voltage rating of the operational amplifiers. These kits use either TL081s or LM741 equivalents, both rated for 36 volts. And that's not even taking into account the fact that with 99% certainty the included op-amps are fake. I didn't have any suitable high voltage op-amps on hand, so I installed genuine TL081s just to be safe. With 24 volts AC at the input, we're going to get about 33.6 volts after the rectifier. Add another 5.1 volts to the negative rail, and we end up with almost 39 volts connected directly to the op-amp supply pins. That's pretty bad, and it's the next problem to fix. First of all, there is no reason for the negative rail to be 5.1 volts. The negative voltage is only needed to ensure proper current limiting and voltage regulation all the way down to 0 volts. Considering the output characteristics of the TL081 and taking the surrounding circuitry into account, I estimated that about -2 volts should be enough. I couldn't find a suitable Zener diode for that voltage, so I ended up using a yellow LED with a forward voltage drop of approximately 1.8 volts. I also obviously changed resistor R14 from 1.5 kilo to 500 ohms, otherwise the power supply just wouldn't start. At first it seemed to work well, but further testing showed that the current limiting didn't work properly, especially during a short circuit. So I had no choice but to switch to a 3V Zener diode instead. R14 was replaced once again and is now 1K, and everything works exceptionally well. Did you notice the LED blinking when I used it instead of the Zener? I looked into it and found a voltage ripple of about 1.5 volts peak to peak across it, which might seem odd until you look at the schematic and notice that there is no smoothing capacitor on the negative rail. So I soldered a 1000 microfarad capacitor in parallel with the Zener. Now the ripple is down to no more than 50 mV peak to peak, which is perfectly acceptable. After these changes, we still can safely use 24 volts AC, but with a slightly lower input voltage, say 23 volts, we should now stay just below the op-amp's maximum voltage rating. You could lower the input voltage even further, to around 20 to 22 volts AC, just to be safe. But in this case, the output voltage won't reach 30 volts, so it's a compromise between versatility and reliability. At first, I wanted to use a standard bridge rectifier mounted on a heatsink instead of the original discrete diodes, but then I took a closer look at the markings. Since when do Chinese manufacturers put Schottky diodes in these kits? Or has it always been like that? Anyway, I instantly changed my mind and soldered the Schottkys in, making sure to leave some space underneath them so they transfer as little heat as possible to the nearby components. Speaking of which, I don't know what kind of brilliant mind thought it was a good idea to put a 1000 microfarad smoothing capacitor in a 3 amp linear lab bench power supply. To make things worse, there aren't even extra holes for installing a larger proper capacitor, so I drilled a new one for that purpose. In place of that abomination now sits a gorgeous 50 volt 6.8 millifarad electrolytic capacitor, unfortunately with a not so gorgeous 85-degree temperature rating. But it'll do. I also don't really like the ridiculously low value 2.2K discharge resistor, so I replaced it with a 10 kilo ohm one instead. Less heat is always better. Unless it's a heater, I guess. One day I'll turn it into a proper lab bench power supply. All that remains is to replace the transistor with a genuine one, install a larger heatsink, and add a button that turns off the output voltage without turning off the entire power supply. There will also be a relay-based input voltage selector, but first I need to wind a new transformer. And some kind of enclosure would probably be nice too. I appreciate you watching this video and see you in the next one.